All right, folks, welcome back to Tales from the Longbox. This is our sixth episode, number 3 for Paul's Pull List. Welcome back, Paul Davis.
Welcome back to Indeed. I was going to say hello, everybody. How you doing? But it doesn't matter because, again, they can't answer me back. So how are you doing, Bryan?
You say that, but now they sort of can. Here's yet another shameless plug for the new feature that's on anchor.fm. If you go to our website where all these shows are hosted, I'll drop a link in the show notes for this. Go to that link and you can actually leave us a recorded voice message. I'm going to say this. If you guys will leave a recorded voice message, and whether it's positive, negative, whatever it is, we will feature it on the show in our next episode. So if you want your voice to be heard alongside ours, then leave us a message. You just go to the link that I'll put in the show notes, and you should be able to create a custom message for us there, and it will alert us when you've done so, and we'll drop that into our next episode. So I think it's a kind of a cool feature. I've never seen anybody do anything quite like that. So yeah, give us a shout.
We are opening ourselves up to a lot of shenanigans. I can already tell.
We are, and that's okay because we like shenanigans, and we're good at shenanigans as well. So bear that in mind.
Folks, our refrigerator is running. We do not need to chase it. Just putting that out there.
Prince Albert's been in the can so long, you can forget it. He ain't coming out.
We're not getting him out. No.
All right, so we had a big week in comics last week with third round of some DC Future State stuff rolling out, and King in Black number 3 was wow. That was
epic. It was epic.
Yeah.
But talking about a big week, looking at all the comics from all the different manufacturers coming out this week, there's more this week.
Yeah.
My top 5 was, again, no particular order, and it was hard for me to pick 5. I mean, it really was. There's a ton of good content out and a lot of continuation of stories that I've been reading.
Yeah.
But I'll start it off with just the first one that comes in alphabetical order. How about that? Daredevil number 26. I chose this one, as you can see my background, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you, is Daredevil, because during the King in Black storyline, and this is a King in Black tie-in, we've seen a lot of the other New York heroes and the New York-based heroes. So we hadn't seen Daredevil. Well, if you've been following Daredevil, you know Matt Murdock. I won't get into all the stuff, but he's in jail. He has been convicted of manslaughter. It was first-degree murder, but he took a lesser plea, and he's in jail. He's not in jail as Matt Murdock. He's in jail as Daredevil. He still has his mask on. He was tried as Daredevil, so his identity is, again, not out there. I know it's been out there, back, in, out, all kinds of stuff. But he is, and the reading of the synopsis of the comic doesn't give it a lot of information, but it appears that he's going to have to face the symbiote invasion while in prison, surrounded by people that he's put there, and that people that don't really like him. Meanwhile, his on-again, off-again love interest of Elektra has taken up the Daredevil mantle, because there's always got to be a devil in the Hell's Kitchen. And she's going to be out on the street level facing the King in Black symbiote. So I expect this to be a pretty interesting comic. Just you got 2 Daredevils for the price of 1, and you get to see what's been going on in their lives.
Yeah, this one was pretty high on my list for this week too. I think it was maybe Danny that pointed out to us that Daredevil was in the background in one of the King in Black issues, but the Elektra version of Daredevil, and it was just that one shot. That's it. That's it. You get a lot of street level stuff going on in this series, and yeah, it'll be cool to finally see a little Daredevil action.
I agree. All right, moving along in loose alphabetical order. Avengers, the Savage variety. Savage Avengers number 17. In my humble opinion, this is the comic that everybody needs to read. This is the comic that's going to show how Null dies. How does he die? Conan is going to kill him. Conan this Null has interrupted his debauchery, his drinking, and his stealing. He must die. And along the way, if the cover of this comic says anything, Deadpool's with him. I foresee Conan actually killing Deadpool, and while he's regenerating, using parts of his body to kill Null. Because Conan will have none of that. This is high on my list just because I love Conan, the new Marvel version the old Marvel version, the most recent version of him. And I love the Savage Avengers because it puts Conan with a bunch of street level thugs and killers. Wolverines, your Punishers, your Electras, just a good bloody comic.
I'm not sure if your theory on Conan killing Null is the most accurate theory that I've heard, but it's by far the most entertaining.
I see him fashioning Deadpool into a sword, and the Deadpool still running his mouth while he's being stabbed into Null. Now, will Deadpool kill him? Probably not. Conan will definitely hurt him, though.
Well, this one was on my list too. I mean, you've made a couple of converts out of me and Danny by relentlessly shoving this comic down our throats.
I know. I've been just force feeding you this for over a year now, but it's a good turn your mind off, forget everything else going on in the world, whatever it may be, and just enjoy some gratuitous violence and good art. The art is very, very good in these Savage Avengers comics. And the stories have been very intriguing, just to me. I mean, even Danny, who's not a Conan fan, he's a Spider-Man fan, says that he was intrigued and he read the first story arc.
Yeah, I don't know how you can't like this version of Conan. It's pretty good stuff, man. It really is. So yeah, that one's on my list as well. Good call. What else you got?
All right, moving along. I'm staying in the S's. This is not a superhero comic, but it's something near and dear to our hearts. It's Star Wars, but it's Star Wars Bounty Hunters.
Bounty Hunters. Yeah.
I've been a big fan of this series since it come out. There's a bounty hunter cyborg named Valence. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's appeared in any of the other Star Wars canon, if he's appeared in anything else. As far as I knew, he was just appeared in this comic. And they've shown some other bounty hunters that has really intrigued me. Like this issue intrigued me because it's Valence versus Dengar.
There you go.
I mean, there's been a toilet paper shortage lately in the United States. Dengar is wrapped in toilet paper. He should be number one on the most wanted list of bounty hunters because he is the Charmin man. Unwrap him, you're set for a year.
Didn't they also? I mean, obviously Fett's been in it, but what's 4LOM and what was the
4LOM and Zuckuss?
Zuckuss, yeah.
Zuckuss. They have been prominently. Bosk was in the first couple issues.
Yes,
also.
Right.
IG-88 is about the only one of the big bounty hunters I can think of that I've not seen yet, and that doesn't mean he won't make an appearance.
I think Valence. I think he has been in some other Star Wars comics.
Okay,
but I think that's as far as he's interacted, as far as canon stuff goes.
He was a new character to me, so I didn't recognize him, but I immediately started liking him. A cyborg. I mean, when you think about it, you don't think of Star Wars as having cyborgs, but Luke is a cyborg. He has a hand.
Uh-oh.
My hand just appeared there all of a sudden.
Well, you kind of broke up a little bit on us there too, but that's okay.
Oh,
I think we all got what you're saying. You're talking about some Skywalkers who were cyborgs. So
yeah, and so the act of actually having a more cybernetic, openly cyborg person just makes sense.
The only thing that turns me off about him at all is kind of the Terminator look, where he's got the robotic skull showing through. That may not have been the best design choice for him, but the character himself, he's pretty cool, and it's been a good read so far.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. let's go to DC because I've stayed in Marvel pretty heavy, and I've been staying in Marvel pretty heavy the last few weeks.
Yeah,
that's just because they've been putting out more what I like.
Well, other than Future State, what is really coming out on a month-to-month basis right now?
Not very much. But this one is a Future State. It's a number one. It's a Legion of Superheroes. I don't know if it will be good or bad. I just know from reading the description, this is what has potentially happened in the future to a Legion of Superheroes. You have they said, pay attention, read this comic, find out what's happened to your favorite characters, find out what characters have turned against the Legion, and you get a story of the Legion next, or the Legion recruits. There was, I don't remember what it was, just to be honest, but I will know after I read it.
I'm going to guess that what's happened to the Legion is that even that far into the future, beyond everybody else's future state, it's a post-apocalyptic environment where everything is falling apart for the Legion of Superheroes.
I would say you are probably better than 50% on that, because future state does not look like the version of any universe anybody would choose to live in willingly.
No, I may have already asked this question on the show. I know I've asked it, between us personally, but man, if this is what your futures look like with all these supers running around, why have superheroes?
Yeah.
They're not.
They go back to why the Gotham thing is no more mask.
Yeah, right.
Gotham has been bad.
Maybe the magistrate is onto something here. Get rid of them, for Pete's sake. Yeah, Legion Superheroes is also on my list. I'm looking forward to that one, just because I'm a big Legion mark, and I've loved pretty much every version of the Legion they've come out with. I don't think I'll like this one, but I'm gonna try it. So.
Well, I've always been a huge Shazam mark, and last week I got my taste of Shazam Future State, and wow, just wow.
Yeah. And I believe was the word you used before you read the comic. Yeah.
Right. Innocent, not so. So we'll just see what happens with Legion of Superheroes, because I know that's one of your favorites. We'll see how they treat you.
Yeah, you'd like to think that the future would be getting bright sometime around that point, but maybe not so much.
Yeah, what's the song? The future's so bright, I have to wear shades. Well, this is not so much shades; it's more like a blindfold at a execution, a firing squad. All right, my final one for this week. I always try to pick an independent comic, and I went with my Iron Man of another universe, Exo Man of War.
I always
like
there, yeah.
We talked about this the other night. I've always liked that character because I'm a sucker for space armors, Iron Man type stuff. This you get a version of Conan with Iron Man mixed, so it's hard for me not to like it. And a synopsis of this one is Exo Man of War has a partner which is trying to help his public image with the world, because believe it or not, him saving people and parking big spaceships on a busy intersection and causing giant traffic jams has not really helped his image any. He's not real popular, even though he's saving the world. So a public publicity agent is helping him it's helping him not only find ways to save the world, but to make himself more popular with the people doing it. And he gets a new suit of armor. His sentient armor gets not an upgrade, but a new image, a remake kind of. So this will be the first view of the new armor.
Oh, that's cool.
So
yeah,
that's my 5
on that one. I'll probably read that as well.
This is only issue 4 of the newest run, and they're not really long comics. They're an easy read.
Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty strong 5 there, Paul. As a matter of fact, 3 of the 5 that I was looking at, you already covered. So, I'm trying to fully embrace as much of the future state stuff as I can. So I added Dark Detective number 2 to that list, because Dark Detective, is following the story of Bruce Wayne. It's not even just about that. It's that I'm enjoying all the Gotham centric stuff in Future State, which is a change of pace for me. I don't typically really care for the Gotham centric stuff, but in Future State, it works. So I definitely want to see where that's going. Also, I threw in Aquaman just because it's another one of the number one. It's a fresh look at something, and just judging by the cover, I couldn't tell that everyone in Atlantis had died from a horrible post-apocalyptic plague or something. So maybe there's some brightness and happiness in this issue. I'm hoping.
I'm hoping we've kind of seen Aquaman or it's his daughter. Is there him and Mira's daughter in the Justice League?
Right. That's further down the road though, when she has come fully into the role of Aqua Woman, I think.
Okay, so I didn't know where this was set.
This is
your two choices there.
She's maybe a teenager at this point, I think.
Okay.
It's the former Aqualad, not Garth, but
I can't think of his name, but he's Black Mana's son, right?
Yeah. He's Aquaman in this, and she's still not quite of age. So, that's an interesting point in the timeline to look at where he's taken over, and she's not quite ready to assume that mantle yet. She may not even be a teenager in this. She may be just, like 7 or 8 or something. Kind of hard to tell by the cover, but what the heck? I'm going to try it, see how it goes, and we'll judge it.
Both of those would have been something I would have. I'll choose to read them. I will read them.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I had a hard time with my top 5. I'm actually looking at another one I could have put on there that I love, The Strange Academy. Yeah. Dr. Strange's version of the X-Men's School for Gifted Mutants, but it's in New Orleans in a pocket dimension, and it is the school for new mages. It's a great comic. It's in the top 10, but it just didn't make my top 5. But I'm really looking forward to it also.
Yeah. You're right, man. There is an absolute ton of stuff coming out this week. It's like the industry just vomited up a bunch of comics.
I'm just scrolling, and there's all kinds of number ones for Future State.
Yeah,
Superman and the Imperious Lex.
Yeah, the Superman stuff has disappointed me so much. That'll be one of the last things I would read this week. But
yeah, Suicide Squad. I'm a Suicide Squad mark.
Yeah.
The cover shows a lot of the Justice League, so I don't know who is in the Suicide Squad. So.
I think these are like fake Justice League guys. Like they're the villainous versions of Justice League heroes or something.
Even better.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. A lot to read. There's a lot of King in Black stuff. A lot of Future State. There's a ton of stuff from the Independents. An absolute ton of stuff from the Independents this week.
There's stuff I'd never,
I have no idea what you said. You kind of.
Oh, there's independent stuff that I've not even seen before.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, there's stuff that's not been maybe put out very often, or
right.
There's a lot of stuff that's just new in general.
Captain Canuck, season 5, number 2. I didn't know there was a season 1. I didn't know there was a number 1.
Well,
I have to go back.
Interesting though. I might
check out
Captain Canuck. Speaking of the Independents, another Image comic that you kind of got me started on. We're basically recommending Image stuff back and forth between us now. Outcast by Robert Kirkman. Neither of us are very deep into this, but this is an intriguing comic.
I think you are 4 issues. I'm 4 issues in, excuse me, and you're 5 issues in. So we started about the same time. I found this comic because after our last Tales from a Longbox, and we were looking for Image comics to read, and we just had a hard time finding good stuff. Something told me if I looked a little deeper, I'd find something I liked beyond what we had found with our first look. And Outcast, it's a Kirkman comic, so it's kind of dark, kind of gritty, but it does, so far there's no zombies, but there's demons.
Yeah.
He went the way of the exorcist, and the protagonist of the story, his life has been torn apart by family members that have been possessed by demons, and he, for whatever reason now, is able to exorcise those demons. His blood actually burns the demons and causes them to be expelled from the body.
Yeah, that's a pretty unique storyline. I read an interview with Kirkman where he was stating sort of his mission statement on why he did this comic. And, he stressed that he always told everybody that Walking Dead is not a horror comic. But he wants to frighten people. He wants to give you those scares. He said, but this is a horror comic. Walking Dead is not a horror comic. This is a horror comic. And this is a comic where I want to scare people. He said, and so I'm using something that to me is more frightening than zombies or those types of things. I'm using real world type things that could plausibly happen in the real world. So that's his take on this. He's telling you, and he just comes right out and says it. There are things in this world. There's enough evidence out there that there are things in this world that you cannot account for that indicate possession might be a real thing. Demons might be a real thing. And you have to grapple with what that means for life, if that's the reality. And you really see where he's going with that, because the Reverend character, the preacher, he's grappling with things, and the main character, who's been a victim of some abuse in his own life, he's grappling with things. And it's like The Exorcist. The Exorcist is an extraordinarily frightening movie because it's not a giant creature that comes from space to destroy the earth. It's something that you could see that happening in the here and now.
As a child, zombie movies didn't frighten me. Godzilla, King Kong, none of that frightened me. I loved them. Frankenstein, none of those things frightened me. But the Exorcist movie, I am well past my childhood years, and I have to this day never been able to sit and watch that movie all the way through in one setting. It terrifies me.
Paul and I have been friends for a long time. And
yeah.
I remember being, in our late teens, early 20s, and that being a topic of conversation, that movie just scared the bejeepers out of both of us, but you in particular. I'm not gonna lie, zombie movies scare the crap out of me too. I'm uncomfortable with that whole.
I guess I have enough scientific background that I don't feel like zombies would be plausible. It could be, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of virus type things that could happen, but the supernatural, your ghost, your demon possessions, your war between heaven and hell, that stuff frightens me.
Yeah.
It very much frightens me.
You are very much Kirkman's audience with that.
Yeah.
Because he's wanting to go for the things that really can, just scare you to, pieces. And he's the art. You mentioned the art, or you mentioned the storyline being gritty, and a little edgier and grittier. And to me, the artwork is kind of what you expect out of a Kirkman, collaboration. You get kind of that gritty feel to the art.
Yeah, it's not clean. It's not bad, but it's colorized, so that makes it different than The Walking Dead there.
Yeah.
But it has sharp edges. There's not smooth transitions as much.
Yes.
And the sharp edges put you in mind of being cut. Things that could cut you, things that are a little dangerous,
it's art that is very suited to its subject matter,
Mm-hmm.
because that that gritty feel that's with it, that slightly dirty feel that's with it, goes very well with the story. Unlike the Scumbag from Image Comics as well, that the art suited, certainly it suited its subject matter, but
Oh, it did. It did.
it went too far. This doesn't go too far. It's
No.
some blood, but it's not over the top. It all seems to be just the amount that you need to drive it home at this point.
It reminds me of not an over the top gratuitous sex and violence slasher movie.
Yeah.
It does remind me of a very good slasher movie. It is more the Jason, the Friday the 13th slashers to me than it is like any of the Trauma stuff.
Oh yeah.
Trauma, they go. I'm not trying to make fun of Trauma or piss off any of the fans of Trauma stuff.
Not trying to hurt the feelings of the Toxic Avenger, because you don't want him to come.
Right. But the Toxic Avenger there's parts of that movie that go a little too far over the top for me, and I'm not a fan. Just not a fan of that particular movie. But it's Friday the 13th, those kind of slasher movies, I liked. Nightmare on Elm Street. And this is, to me, is along that genre.
Going along with that, man, I could easily see this being, another series on AMC or something, because, it's mostly grounded in real world stuff and plenty of tense moments.
What made me what made me go after this was I was flipping through one of my pay-per-view channels, not pay-per-view, one of my subscription channels, one of your Netflix type things. Yeah. I don't remember which one it was, but one of them had an Outcast show. And it looked like it starred the Doctor from the newest Star Trek movies, Bones. Looked like he was the one starring in it.
So this has already been adapted.
Yes, and I do not know which one it is or how many. I saw that and I thought, you know what? I want to read some of the comic. I think that's a comic. I want to read a little bit of the comic first.
Well, I mean, it definitely seemed like it was the type of thing that should be adapted. So it's good to know that it already has been. Yeah, I'd like to check that out. Huh. That's good news. So while Paul's doing some searching there for...
Yeah, I was just going to do a quick little search and see if I could find it,
Yeah, well, while he's doing that, a little heads up on what's coming up. We will be back with a new episode of Tales from the Longbox later this week. It'll likely just be Paul and I. Danny has some personal issues that he's tending to at the moment. We don't know exactly when Danny will be back with us, but you can be assured it'll be at the soonest possible point. We will follow up again on batch number 4 of Future State stuff. Most of the comics we talked about tonight, we will be discussing on our next show. We'll dig into more King and Black tie-ins. And I think next week might be a good point for us to start discussing what we think Heroes Reborn is going to look like in the Marvel Universe. It's the 25th anniversary of the original Heroes Reborn story, where basically they licensed out the Marvel characters to Image for a short time for the Avengers and Fantastic Four. I don't think they're going anywhere near that level this time around, but it looks like a kind of a cool what if type story. But details have been slowly emerging on that, so we'll talk about it on our big show later this week. What about it, Paul? Find anything?
I found on Amazon, it's not, you have to purchase the seasons, but it's a Cinemax show, and there's been 2 seasons.
Wow.
So okay. I didn't know I didn't know anything about it. I just happened to run across it.
Wow. Well, that's a good find, because I've enjoyed the 5 issues that I've read so far.
Yep. But Amazon Prime, if you have Prime and you wish to buy it, kind of like the Yellowstone bundles that my wife has made me buy, and I've been in cowboy land for the past several weekends with her and the Yellowstone folks. Good shows. Don't get me wrong. Good shows. Just I like my fantasy and my comics.
Yep.
This real world stuff is for the birds.
It's going to be real world stuff. At least have an exorcism in it. Right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's most of the stuff we wanted to talk about tonight. Another thing we will talk about on our next Tales from the Longbox, we'll be talking about the Expanse comic, because next week is Expanse week for us, on World Class Nerd, which is the show this podcast spun off of. We'll be talking about the Expanse's latest season, and then we'll cover the comic tie-in on this show. And
yes. To-do list: read Expanse comics. Check. Watch season 5 of Expanse. Got to get on that. So when are we doing this? This next week? Okay.
Yes, next week. You're gonna have to put the Yellowstone down for a little bit, and
I'm just gonna have to hide somewhere upstairs and fake sick and watch it on my iPad.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So Paul's got his work cut out for him, and then it's not going to help that there's going to be a whole slew of comics coming out here in the next couple of days that we will be feasting on with our eyes.
Yeah, that's gonna take some time there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a shift on. That's for sure. All right, well, folks, we will be back later this week with the full Tales from the Longbox show. Paul, as always, it's fun talking comics with you. Say goodbye to the crew here.
Goodbye, crew. Stay classy, comic folks.
All right. Well done that time. All right. We'll see you next time, folks.
Bye.